This right here behind us, this is the cone course, okay? And it stops somewhere right here at the back of my motorcycle. Well, now we're out of the cone course and we're over here. But guess what? It's the same surface. It's no different than the cones that were back there. So what I like to do is go find an area in a parking lot or wherever the course might be laid out where I can slowly but surely get comfortable and learn that surface appraisal. And what I call that is calibrating. I'm calibrating my brain and I'm calibrating my motorcycle inputs to whatever the surface is. So what that looks like is, how grippy is this? Well, how do we find out? Well, we find out by threshold braking. I don't just jump in and start hammering the brakes, but eventually I start hammering the brakes pretty good. I'll do figure eights. Okay, so I just lost the back end a little bit, but it's doing power wheelies out of the hole right here, which is good. So I'm learning how much traction I have. And the more traction I have, the faster things are starting to happen. The accelerating and braking forces are greater. The speeds I reach are quicker to get up to maximum speed. If it's really slick out, none of that's going to happen. I'm going to start getting on the gas and the back end's going to come out. I'm going to hammer the brakes pretty hard and it's going to go into ABS or lock up the front. All those things are important. That's all new learning what I'm actually going to encounter here once I do jump into the cones. Because once you're in the cones, that's not where you really want to learn how much traction do I have, how hard can I push. Personally, I like to do that when it's just a big empty space and I can slide the bike around or do a little power burnout and have the back end come out and there's nothing to run into. I'm not having to think about other things like where does the course go or making a full tight U-turn or things like that. So just something to think about, recalibrating yourself, really start to learn, become a scientist of sorts related to the surface that you're encountering when you start training. The first thing you need to do, the first thing you can do is figure out what am I dealing with this surface, okay? And as I've mentioned before, to a degree you can play around with tire pressures to accommodate that. If it's really greasy, I might drop a few PSI. If it's really grippy, I might bump it up a few PSI, 3 to 5 PSI. Because remember, the more tire pressure I have, the lighter this thing is on its feet, but the smaller the contact patch. So if I don't have a lot of grip, then more tire pressure is going to probably slowly bite me. And conversely, if it's really, really not grippy, and once I'm doing this acclimation process and calibrating myself and my bike, if I start dropping PSI to accommodate this slick surface, my contact patch gets bigger and I will effectively get a little bit more traction, but the bike's going to get heavier. Pretty soon it's going to feel like I'm riding through molasses. And if it's a multi-day event, trust me, unless you're an Ironman triathlete, you're going to show up on day 3 with rubber legs and a lot of ibuprofen, wondering what the hell happened. So there you go. All right, take care.